Wyatt at Main Meadow Sanctuary. Today I'm going to give you guys just a brief overview of how solar works for off-grid, and I'm going to talk about our system that I recently upgraded, and I'm going to just tell you the basics of how you set a solar system up for your house. So here we go. Okay, let's go. So my artist skills are not the best, but I hope that this can give you guys a good explanation of how it works. So what you got here is you got your batteries, you got your inverter. Now your inverter, right here, whether you're going to plug in your house or whatever through the 120 volt outlet or wire it in, this is going to go to your breaker box somehow, or to your house, or to power whatever you need to power. If you're going to just power things off of the outlets that are built in, that's fine too. But if you're trying to power a whole house, you can direct wire into your breaker box, which is not as complicated as it sounds. Anyways, so your inverter is converting the current in all these batteries, which are 12 volt to 120 volt, to power your house, your outlets, whatever. This is for my 12 volt system. Now obviously you can wire the batteries in different configurations to get higher volt system if you're trying to power something else. Now I know a lot of people do 48 volts. We don't. He's Baby Royce, he sounded a little tired. Anyways, so a lot of people do 48 volt. They say it's more efficient, which I'm not going to argue with them. Just for our needs, I want to have a high capacity at a lower voltage because I don't need all those high volts. So anyways, so what you're going to do here is for wiring your batteries together is you are going to do positive, if you're going to keep at 12 volt like we did, do positive to positive and negative to negative, and then you're going to go off the next battery, positive to positive, negative to negative, then positive to positive, negative to negative. Anyways, okay, so then the last one, this negative one on your last battery is going to go to the negative here, and your positive on your first battery is going to go to the positive on your inverter. Now this is so your batteries drain equally at the same time, because otherwise you hook them both up on the first one, they're not going to all drain equally at the same time. Also, they're not going to charge. So then we take the inverter. Your inverter is going to have a battery in and a battery negative and a battery positive. So same thing again. We're going to do the battery negative all the way to the last battery, and then we're going to do the battery positive to the first battery. Then you're also going to have a solar to your panels, which is going to be a positive and a negative. So then, same thing again. Your negative is going to go all the way around, or however you have it configured, to your last one, and your positive is going to go to your first one. Now, depending on how you want to wire your panels, which we wired them in parallel, so that again is the positive to positive, because there are different hookups, but for our situation, we wired them in parallel, so then that'll just be positive to negative to positive to negative to positive to negative, and then the last one's going to be the negative one, and that's going to come around. Now that's going to make it... Bryce, you have a lot of interesting noises you're making. Anyway, so that's the basics to setting up a solar system. It is not that complicated. There's a few other things you want to remember is with various things such as an inverter, there is going to be a ground that you're going to want to ground, especially if you are setting up a solar system in a mobile vehicle. You want it to be connected to Earth somewhere, and certain charge controllers also have grounds that you're going to want to ground. And there's various ways to ground things, especially if you don't have a ground like in your breaker box to ground into. So these are just the basics. I know I'm not the best artist, but I hope this gives you guys a good explanation. I'll throw up some images of our setup, but you're going to want to make sure. The only thing you're going to really want to check and make sure you're doing is you're going to want to make sure that you have a good enough gauge wire when you're doing everything. Like the stuff that's going to be connected to your inverter, you're going to want to use some heavy duty wire for. And for your batteries, you're going to want to make sure you use an appropriate gauge based on your battery specifics. Now, with our batteries, they were each 200 amp hours. So 200 amp hours, so 800 amp hours total. And they recommend for a basic solar system somewhere between, I think it was somewhere between 400 and 800 for a basic system. Now, I wanted to make sure that we had enough power to keep our fridge going and to power our AC, which people say you're going to need a $20,000 system. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to figure out how to do this. I don't have a large air conditioner, but I do have a 700 watt air conditioner, which is able to run off of this system absolutely no problem. So if you guys have any questions about this basic setup, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, another thing I'll say is we have a midnight solar controller. So the one thing I disliked about this charge controller is that it doesn't have the built-in battery monitoring system. So that's something you have to get separately. What I did was I used a different one. So that's another configuration you want. Negative, positive, monitor your battery percent, which is just something you want to know. Because with most deep cycle batteries that you're going to be using, you're never going to want to drain below 50%. Otherwise, it can significantly shorten your life of the batteries. That's what we learned with our first set of batteries. Now, our first set of batteries were some cheap old, almost $200 batteries off of Amazon. Supposed to be solar batteries. They weren't the greatest to begin with, but we did drain below the 50% line, and their life definitely shortened significantly. So, just something to keep in mind. So, batteries are probably the most important thing for your solar system. Most important piece, depending on what you want to get. They all have different life expectancies, but we decided to go with the Agm Solar Batteries from, it's Renogy, I don't know, Renogy. We wanted to go with something, and those I would recommend. They are heavy. I would not recommend though if you're doing the van life or something like that, because those are heavy. They weigh in about 140 pounds each, so those aren't the easiest to move around. I was surprised about the size though. They're roughly the size of 3 car batteries in one, so they're pretty significantly large. I'll throw some pictures of that up there. So you guys have a fantastic day. Let me know if you got any questions about this setup. Hope it helps. Don't forget to subscribe.